You know that moment when you're watching a movie, slick, strange, and somehow smarter than it has any right to be, and you think, wait, this was supposed to be bad? That's In Time. A film so gorgeously literal in its metaphor it almost feels like satire, except it isn't. It's deadly sincere. And that sincerity? That's what makes it sing. Released in 2011 and directed by Andrew Nicol, the man behind Gattaca and the underrated techno-noir Lord of War, In Time is what happens when a grim parable about wealth inequality gets dressed up like a Calvin Klein ad. It's high-concept dystopia by way of perfume commercial, and it works. Picture it, the near future where nobody ages past 25, and time itself is the only currency. You don't pay with dollars, you pay with your life. Want a coffee that'll cost you a few minutes? Rent? A couple of weeks. A night out? Try 2 months. The rich can live forever. The poor literally die trying. It's the most on-the-nose metaphor for late capitalism ever put on film, and yet it's hypnotic. Because Nicole leans all the way in. He doesn't wink. He doesn't explain. He just commits to the bit, like a man who stared too long at his credit card balance and decided to build a religion out of it. Justin Timberlake. Yes, that Justin Timberlake plays Will Salas, a factory worker in the slums who wakes up every morning with barely enough time left on his glowing green wrist to make it through the day. He's all restless eyes and repressed fury, moving through a world where people drop dead mid-stride when their clocks hit 0. His mother, played by Olivia Wilde, who looks the same age as him, because of course she does, times out in his arms. A moment that's both heartbreak and thesis statement. The system is designed to fail you. The poor literally die to keep the rich immortal. It's not subtle, but it's devastating. Then, out of nowhere, fate, or capitalism's guilty conscience, intervenes. A suicidal rich man gives Will a century of time and vanishes. Overnight, Will becomes rich in the only currency that matters. He buys a limo, a suit, and crosses the border into the ultra-wealthy district of New Greenwich, a gleaming, gated paradise where no one runs, no one hurries, and everyone moves like they have forever. Because they do. When Will suddenly inherits a century, he has to learn something he's never known before: how to slow down. For the first time in his life, he can sleep in. He books a room at a ludicrously expensive hotel and lets himself breathe. Then comes that perfectly indulgent sequence: Will buying a luxury car, strolling into a high-stakes casino, and winning nearly 1,000 years using nothing but nerve and instinct. For a moment, the world bends to him, but nothing gold stays. When the rich man's body is found, Cillian Murphy's timekeeper Leon goes after Will, even though there's no proof he did anything wrong. Leon doesn't care. He admits as much. Justice isn't his concern. Order is. His job isn't to find the truth. It's to preserve the hierarchy. He's the embodiment of the gatekeeper, a man born in the ghetto who escaped it only to become the enforcer that keeps everyone else trapped there. His relentless pursuit of Will and Sylvia becomes his undoing. Leon burns through every last second chasing them until irony claims him. The man obsessed with controlling time literally runs out of it. It's the perfect death for a system servant. Poetic, pitiful, inevitable. And the real spark of rebellion begins when Leon confiscates all of Will's time, both the century he was gifted and the years he won fairly. That act of bureaucratic cruelty transforms Will from survivor to revolutionary. If the game is rigged, why play fair? From then on, he's not just running for his life. He's dismantling the system itself. And then enters Amanda Seyfried as Sylvia Weiss, a porcelain heiress with a 1,000-year trust fund and daddy issues shaped like a bank vault. She's all red hair, high heels, and quiet rebellion. She wants to do something that matters, something reckless. And then Will crashes into her life, literally. Their chemistry is electric in that early 2010s H&M ad sort of way. She's the sheltered aristocrat, he's the grimy Robin Hood with abs. Together, they run through casinos, across time zones, from cops and gangsters and philosophical doom. It's Bonnie and Clyde meets Les Miserables meets The Matrix. Except everyone's constantly checking their wrist like they're late for something existential. Sylvia's transformation is as satisfying as it is symbolic. Watching her shed her diamond cuffs and join Will's crusade, not reluctantly but passionately, is exhilarating. She falls for him not just romantically but ideologically. By the time they're robbing time banks together, she's the beating heart of the revolution. Capitalism's favorite daughter turned its most dangerous enemy. And oh, those wrist timers. A simple countdown glowing under the skin. Elegant, terrifying, and weirdly beautiful. Every handshake becomes a transaction. Every embrace could kill you. The intimacy of it all is deliciously perverse. Capitalism reduced to literal touch. But what really makes In Time fascinating isn't its chase sequences. Though Nicole films them with sleek, dreamlike precision, it's its tone. The entire movie feels like a fable that got lost in a fashion spread. It's stylized, sterile, and hauntingly calm, like someone filmed the end of the world in slow motion. And beneath that gloss, fury. Real, righteous fury. Every frame drips with class anxiety. A world where the poor die young and the rich live forever because the system demands imbalance. It's a fairy tale told in fluorescent green digits. When Will and Sylvia start robbing banks and redistributing time, it's not just rebellion, it's poetry. They're stealing hours, minutes, lifetimes. They're giving people the one thing money can't buy anymore, tomorrow. And with every theft, the system trembles. Prices rise, clocks speed up, panic spreads. The economy literally collapses under the weight of shared humanity. There's a brilliant moment when Will's friend Burrell dies drunk, with years left on his timer. It's the film's bleakest punchline. Even when given abundance, the poor have been trained not to imagine a future. That's what real oppression looks like. Not chains, but hopelessness. And say what you want about Timberlake's acting, he nails the quiet tragedy. His Will isn't just angry, he's disbelieving. Every time he buys time, spends time, gives time, you feel the absurdity of it. The weight of living in a world where every second is a wage. Critics back then didn't get it. They called it shallow, self-serious, too on the nose. And sure, it is on the nose, that's the point. It's not trying to be subtle. It's trying to be mythic. It's trying to make you feel the cruelty of inequality in your pulse. Because let's be honest, what's more relatable than the fear of running out of time, of watching the clock, of measuring your life in paychecks and deadlines, of sprinting toward comfort that's always 1 minute too far away? In Time turns that universal anxiety into world building. It literalizes the grind, the debt, the imbalance, and then dares to ask what happens if someone says, no more. Every shot gleams, every frame feels intentional. Nicole's future is minimalist, eerily believable. Eat chrome cars, tailored suits, and not a wrinkle in sight. It's a world that's conquered death, but not greed. The soundtrack hums with melancholy and adrenaline, matching its two halves, romance and revolution. And that ending, the slow motion kiss as the clock runs out, the rush to steal one last second, the collapse of the old world, it's earnest. It's the kind of ending that wants to believe rebellion can still matter. Over a decade later, In Time feels eerily prophetic. Gig economies, wage gaps, billionaires chasing immortality, it's all there, just without the glowing wrists. Nicole wasn't exaggerating. He was documenting the future 5 minutes early, and that's why it endures. Beneath the glossy dystopia and model-perfect cast, In Time is one of the great parables of modern sci-fi, a story about how long we're willing to live under someone else's clock, and what happens when we finally stop. So here's to In Time, the sleek, misunderstood masterpiece that asked, what if capitalism stole our lives? And then answered, beautifully, it already has. A film about seconds, systems, and the audacity to share. A parable with cheekbones. A fable for the overworked and the underpaid, told in neon green.